Welcome to another episode of Arcade USA. I'm looking at another home arcade of Jimbo from the Retro Gaming Lounge.
Game Lounge.
What is it?
Game Lounge.
Retro Game Lounge?
Everyone gets that wrong. Yes.
What'd I say?
Gaming.
Retro Gaming Lounge?
Happy Console Gamer said the same thing. I'm like, oh.
Oh,
okay.
well.
Everyone does it. It's okay.
One of those things, I guess.
Yes.
So, how long have you been doing your Retro Game Lounge channel?
Since 2012.
Awesome.
Yes.
And what got you interested in collecting arcade games?
Originally, it had to do with a guy that I worked with who invited me over to his house, and yeah, I had no idea he had this kind of setup, but he took me down to the rec room in the basement, and he had the usual stuff, pool table, foosball table, and things like that, but he also had like a handful of arcade games, and I was like, I'd never seen an arcade game instead of somebody's house, and I started asking him, like, is it hard to get these? Like, where do you get these? Like, I have no idea where you'd even purchase one, and he just kind of went through his spiel about how he got them, and he basically was like Craigslist finds and things like that. I was like, it's really that easy? And I started asking him how much it costs and everything, and I was like, this really doesn't sound all that hard. So it just kind of like raised my bucket list goal where I'm just like, I'm going to build a room like this, but I want to fly past this guy, and that's kind of what I did by accident. So here we are.
What was the first arcade machine you remember buying?
Oh, that's easy. I came home with Aliens and Kid Nicky on the first day. Aliens was the first pickup, and I got a severe discount on that because the second controller wasn't working, second control stick, so it was $200, and we finagled with it and couldn't get it to work. And before I could even open my mouth to say 150, because I was going to offer him that, he's like, "How about $100?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's just what I was thinking." Yeah. So I wasn't going to complain, so I was just like, "Yeah, okay, $100." And it turned out to be something really simple, man. The switch just needed a little bit of polishing. It just wasn't hitting the contacts, and that and Kid Nicky. Aliens I got for a very specific reason. I felt like I was sitting on this island where I was the only kid who remembers playing that in like the early 90s, where like, oh my god, you could play like an Aliens game and it's from Konami, and I remember the intro scared the hell out of me when I was a little kid. Because, it shows the chick who's like chest bursting and stuff like that, and it's like, da 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 da, it's got like the epic music and stuff, and I was like, I don't even know if I'm old enough to play this game. This is freaking wild. So yeah, I was like, when I had a chance to buy it, it never came to consoles and stuff, so I'm like, this is basically the only way I can play it. That and Kid Nicky, one of my favorite all-time NES games, and I remember exactly where I was when I got it. I got it for doing well in math.
Oh!
Mother Unit took me to Toys R Us and was like, pick out a game. I was like, I want Kid Nicky the Radical Ninja. I didn't even know there was an arcade game when I had my NES, but I noticed that the screenshots on the back of the box, his clothes looked different, like the legs were different colors and stuff, and I was like, what is that? Like, why is that not what I see on the screen? Then years later, I'm like, oh, it's the arcade version. So, but funny story for you, you're going to like this. Where I got the Kid Nicky arcade. I'm not entirely sure, I guess the statute of limitations on this has expired, I'm not entirely sure that the sale of that game was entirely legal. Allegedly. We got it from a halfway house. And I can't swear that the person selling it to us was the actual owner. He seemed like he was in charge, but there was like no one else around to dispute it. Needless to say, it wasn't in the nicest neighborhood, so we got that thing on the truck. My buddy was like, dude, let's get out of here. I was like, yeah, you don't gotta tell me twice. So that was years ago. I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations has allegedly expired, so not to worry. It's all good. It's found a good home with me.
So what's the rarest arcade game you have?
That would be, without question, Dark Adventure. Again, from Konami. I have never seen another one. I know a lot of arcade collectors, and I don't know anyone else who has one. Shout out to my buddy Joe. That's the one game that I have that he is just crazy over the moon over. And this guy's like 80 arcade games, and that's the one I have where he's like, yeah, but the Dark Adventure though, and all I did was beat him to it. Sorry, buddy, that's the breaks. But basically, it's Konami's Gauntlet. It's like this game that came out like maybe a year, 2 years after, the Gauntlet craze was kind of thing. Probably Gauntlet 2 had already come out at that point, around 1987. And it's just Konami just cheesing off of Gauntlet and just making it like an Indiana Jones kind of game. And yeah, I'd never heard of it, never seen another one, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
How many games do you have in your collection now?
Games. Arcade games? Okay. In the main game room, we have, at any point, we have 14 working games. So that's like the max limit that room can hold. Trust me, because I put that to the limit. There's 3 more in the foyer, and I believe there are 10 more in the garage. So that would be about 27 total, if my math is correct, I think. I used to have more, actually, but I let a couple of them go. But I think it's, with trading games, stuff like that, it's usually anywhere between 27 and 30 games, somewhere around there. So it's just, the garage is basically like the overflow. That's like projects or things I'm working on. Plus, it gives you a little extra inventory. So if you want to rotate games, you can do that because sometimes games
Freshen
get
it
a little
up.
stale. Yeah, like nobody's playing this game. I'd rather bring this game in. Yeah, it just gives you options. So
That's awesome.
yeah, man,
What's the one arcade game that you would love to get?
that's easy. My oldest arcade memory, like the one where I can clearly remember how old I was, where I was, and this is like the most distinct memory imprint that I have on me video game wise. That would be Double Dragon. I was visiting my grandmother in Kentucky, and right across the street, she had this like really long driveway, man, that just seemed to go on for freaking ever when I was a kid. And right across the street was this little store called the Pantry. And the Pantry is kind of like, it's like redneck 7-Eleven, dude. Like, my family's from Kentucky. I can claim redneck status. It's all good. That's basically what it is. It was like just 7-Eleven or Highs or something like that. Yeah, the same kind of store. A little convenience store. And back then, I'm sure you remember, almost every one of them had at least one arcade game.
Yeah.
That was just the way it was back then. And that's where I first saw Double Dragon. Like, I walked in there. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. I'd never seen a beat 'em up before. I had no idea what any of those things were, but it was like the most amazing thing I had ever seen in my little 7 to 8 year old life, where I was like, oh my goodness. Because like for me, it went from Pac-Man to that. Like it was that big jump where I was like, this is the cool, and I begged my dad, like tugging on his shoulder, can I please have a quarter, please? Like I'll go to hell, I don't care. And he gave me a quarter and I played, and dude, I probably played like absolute garbage. You know, I probably didn't even complete the first level, but I mean, to me, this was like an odyssey. And I remember running home to my mother, who was in the kitchen, to tell her all about my exploits. Like, you won't believe this thing I did. And I'm like describing like how I fought this guy and how I fought the boss. Like, yeah, and that guy come, and then I picked up the stick and I was hitting this guy. Like, you would have thought I was like committing a crime. But yeah, I mean, like I couldn't wait to get home and tell everyone about my adventure playing Double Dragon. And it's like the one game that keeps escaping me because I want a very specific version of either orange or green Tato cabinet. So if you're on the East Coast and you got one for sale, I've got games for trades, and yeah, we can talk. Hit up Willie. Hit up me. We're on shows together. It's all good.
So speaking of shows, where can people find your Retro Game Lounge show?
Like, is this the main channel?
Yeah.
Oh, YouTube. That's easy. Just Retro Game Lounge. There's only one of me. That's it. And we're on Facebook, by the way, but it's on that, you got to type in the in front of it. The Retro Game Lounge. Apparently somebody came up with Retro Game Lounge before me. But there's no YouTube channel. Except mine, so only go there. The Retro Game Lounge on Facebook, just Retro Game Lounge on YouTube.
Not Gaming Lounge.
No, not Gaming Lounge. Bad Willie. Game
Very
Lounge.
bad. Oh, man, my brain don't work too good.
It's okay.
Thanks for watching.